Andrea from half of Formafantasma this morning here at Pedrali at the Salone del Mobile. Half is better than nothing, and we are so honoured.
And you got the nice
you.
one, so yeah. It's good. The simpatico one.
Don't tell Simone that.
He knows.
So let's jump straight in. I mean, you're known for your kind of research-driven, your research-based, investigative, critical approach. How did you bring that to bear on this first collaboration with Pedrali, Estrata?
Well, when Pedrali contacted us was actually quite recently, was around 6-7 months ago, and they came to us with a specific brief because they wanted to work with aluminum, recycled aluminum, with extrusion. That is one of the technique in industrial production that has the least waste. So we thought, okay, already the brief is simple but very interesting. And then, when we start a collaboration with company in general, we really love to see the production site and to know the people. And it's still a family-owned business, and I think there is a very ecological thinking, right? And we went to the company, we saw the production line, we saw the industrial site, and they explained us all the cycle of extraction of material, where they get the material from, and also all the cycles from the waste, how they do with the waste of the company. So we really investigate a lot how they are as a company. And we thought, okay, well, this is a right company to work with. We don't work with so many companies. We really work with a handful number of companies, and we thought there was the right company to work with. And the brief was actually very fitting. Also, most of the time, especially when company approaches us at the beginning, they come because they want to make more accessories, like small vases, just to have the names, while they started already in the right way, thinking, we need to make some objects. And we like that, So it was a good brief and a nice combination between company and so
this collection of side tables, coffee tables, and console, they visibly foreground, make explicit the process of their production, extrusion.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, is that important to you? That kind of legibility? Is there some sense of kind of honesty in that type of design?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, we also gave the name of the collection is called Estratto.
Which means extruded,
exactly.
So I mean, it couldn't be more explicit.
Exactly, and in general, yes. I mean, with our practice, since the beginning, we like the material to speak. When we worked many years ago with, for instance, natural plastic, we did this collection was called Botanica, and you could totally see there was maybe not a synthetic plastic, was in any case a plastic material that was coming in that time with from vegetal or natural components. But we really love to really work with material at the pure states. I mean, of course, here. Some of the other pieces as coating, but for instance, the table there, it's a pure aluminum that is actually the piece that I adore the most. And in a way, what I do love, as you mentioned, is the fact that, especially with this piece, and you can see it also from, for instance,
let's have a look.
Yeah. You can read like how this has been extruded, and there is anything decorative here. Everything that is here is because of a purpose. Of course, these are the grading which like the pieces like connect one to each other. And I also love the fact that when you extrude a piece like this, it's one piece only, like huge, like kilometers, and then you cut it.
And you cut it.
So it's what it is. You can see it.
Yeah.
And it's also very simple to assemble when you get it home. Yeah, it's probably about honesty.
I mean, and this is a kind of key point as well. I mean, it's kind of, well, maybe you talk a bit about the construction here, what's going on, because you have these sort of concave, triangular forming bases.
Yes.
But when it's shipped, it's actually flat, right?
It's completely flat, so you get it like, it depends which kind of composition you are buying. But of course, you get like a very small box. And also, if you turn it a bit, you offset it, then you occupy even less space. And then you have like very plenty of configuration. I think we are going to work, hopefully for the next years also on bigger pieces, because these allow us to make bigger pieces.
I mean, this is a proof of concept
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a proof of concept now with this in our hands. We did like a small table, then we have like a bigger console that you can imagine very easily how from that you can get to a big table. And side tables and, trays, you can do so many things with this. And yeah, I think it's also a fantastic material. It's light. So yeah, we really love aluminum.
It's for me. It's like a form of very micro architectural as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, and obviously you work on kind of spatial design as well. In terms of your process and in terms of your kind of thinking, is there a connection between designing products at small scale and spatial schemes?
No, I mean, of course, they're two different endeavors, and neither me or Simone are architects, so we don't have that as a background. But we have been always interested in how things relate to space, and since the beginning, even like when we presented the first collection many years ago, we all the time work on installations. Or collection. We don't like how when things are like standalone. We like when things get in relation. Working with spaces, it's a different thing because, of course, when you work with exhibition design, especially, or booth, I mean, we are designing here, close to here, there is the Salone Raritas, we did also the B&B. You need to work with a completely different scale, but also set of skills, because you need to think about circulation, how people relate to object, lighting, it's like so many other different things. But I think sometimes architects don't read the small scale. They love big gestures, they love towers, and I think it's interesting when designers confront themselves with architecture because they start from the small scale. So I think if we would do an architecture, maybe we'll be very close to how probably Scarpa was doing it.
Right.
That it's really about the details.
Right.
And I think you can also read it within these tables, right?
Yeah.
We could have done a closed shape, while even the small cut that you see there, that looks decoration, actually has a meaning, because otherwise you cannot really, turn it in the right way.
Right.
So, and we love the idea of working with detail. And architecture sometimes misses that.
But that gap is also very architectural as well.
Yeah,
because suddenly you're playing with light there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It heightens the sense of that there's something which occupies space.
Yeah, but for instance, we asked them because they did, of course, their own photos. Pedrali did their own photos, but then we asked them also to do photos that more or less are how we would communicate it, so a bit more restrained. But when we saw the photo, we thought like, well, maybe we don't like decoration or when you do like styling in photos. But then we need to have something on the table because you don't understand really the scale otherwise. If you take a photo of this one in a white cube, you don't understand if this is like a huge piece or a small piece.
Right, yeah, sure. So you need to relativize it in terms of scale.
But then this because I think there is, as you said, an architectural component.
But that object there on top of it, that could be 20 meters high. You would never know.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
This could be great for a campaign, a very kind of ironic campaign.
Yeah.
This aluminium is obviously you favor this material because of its lighter. Its lighter kind of touch on ecologically on us on the planet. What materials would you never ever work with?
We would work with whatever material. It's not a problem of material. It's like how we extract it. I think you need to have knowledge. What we do with our project most of the time. I mean, of course, not in this specific case, but even if you take aluminum. Like many years ago, we did this project. It was called Orestream. That was commissioned by the National Gallery of Victoria and the Triennale when Paola Antonelli did a Broken Nature show there. And we did this big investigation into electronic waste, and because it's one of the fastest growing stream waste in the contemporary time. And of course, aluminum is one of the materials that you recycle the most. So we investigated a lot of aluminum at that time, because you could have very different kind of aluminum. You can have the aluminum coming from post-production, or you can have from recycled aluminum. And we like more the recycled aluminum. But I mean, we don't have any I mean, we could work with whatever material. That's not a problem. Plastic, for instance, it's an incredible material.
Correct. Correct.
Also, it's very efficient. You can use a drop to create like incredible things. It's more about durability.
Correct.
And the timelessness of the design you do.
And long life products that retain an aesthetic or a cultural relevance for a long time.
I mean, these pieces, you could see that they are timeless pieces. I could already imagine in 10 years' time, maybe you need to change the color because, the pink maybe is a millennial pink. It's very fashionable now. And
not as fashionable as the yellow leather coat you arrived in, which unfortunately our viewers can't see now. Maybe I'll show it to them next time. You described the dialogue that you have with Pedrali as a fundamental one. What does that mean?
Well, we mean that when we establish a connection with a brand, we go for it, and we like long-term relation. It's really rare when we start a project with a company that company don't come back to us.
Right.
I mean, we're talking before about Prada. It's 5 years we are doing the project with Prada. With Flaws, we are doing projects since 10 years already. And we really love, as I mentioned before, family business because the family business, of course, they are also driven for marketing, it's normal. But then you establish a contact that is completely different, and then you don't have these people that come and go, and there is something consistent about it. So a fundamental one because we feel that is a foundation maybe of something that will grow also over time.
Yeah, they have there's much more invested on their part in it than just turnover and the bottom line.
I think that's the ultimate goal of everybody.
But
right?
I think there's an emotional kind of much more of an emotional investment in the whole enterprise as well at that point.
I agree.
Maybe one last question for you, Andrea, which is, are you a natural optimist? I mean, how do you feel where is the design, furniture, lighting industry at the moment in terms of how much progress or lack of progress it's done in ecological terms, in terms of circularity and so on? Are we just barely started, or?
So I feel that really feel lucky to be in Europe and a European citizen because in general, Europe is like really forcing everybody to commit compared to other part of the world. I don't want to say American, but I just said it. Or other. I mean, it's not only American, of course. But the commitment that the European Union have versus specific topic, social issues, ecology, is something really, really, they really believe in it. And this is also forcing the industry to take decision. And I think design, in a slower way, is doing well. Even with whatever company we work, they are all invested in thinking about recycling their energy, solar panel. They are all thinking about how to make their process more ecological. Of course, there is also a lot of greenwashing around. What I'm a bit sad that I think before or during pandemic, everybody felt it was the right moment, and now everything became much more brutal. So. I don't know. And even, in these days at Salone, it's a big circus with a lot of noise, and there is this economy of attention where everybody is trying to, grab your attention. And nobody's really talking about problems and I mean, with our practice, we try to do it.
Oh, you very much do it. I mean,
we try to do it all the time.
That's your raison d'etre in a way.
But of course, it's also complicated because we are also really within the problem. We are also part of the problem. Even designing objects, it's eventually they will become waste. So it's. But we also like to call our practice ambiguous, and we are totally optimistic. Also when we talk about problem, it's not because we want to finger point, but because we try to also solve problem.
Right.
So we are not in a position where we look things from outside and. I mean, and Samari was a bit like that. It was like an angry. I mean, it was It was the best author that we had in Italy. But sometimes he was preaching from the top and swearing all the time. But then in any case, he was the first one producing, as Simone, we are doing it. So being political is very complicated at this time.
Yeah, yeah. And to a certain extent, it's sort of gone out of fashion a bit in the last 12, 24 months. I think I think the pendulum swings continually, and I think we have every reason to remain optimistic.
I think so.
But maybe we need to become more radical and
you know what? Radicality and silence and grace. You know, something that I also feel.
Oh, that's a nice way to.
It's really, we need to have grace and kindness. Everything is so brutal. Even yesterday, I was like walking in Brera, and I really freaked out. I can't stand any more noise.
Yeah.
Probably I'm getting old, you know. When you get old, like your ears are getting more sensible.
Oh my God! If you're old, I'm a dinosaur.
You're not.
You're right, Andrea. You are simpatico. I
am.
I can attest to that. Hey, congratulations! Really, I think this is a very, very worthy and important addition to Pedrali's overall collection. So, bravissimo to you and to Simone, who couldn't be here, but thanks so much, and thanks for the conversation.
It was very nice to have you here.
Thank you.